everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to share with you my favorite and secret chocolate chip cookie recipe. It is vegan, but I promise you it doesn't taste vegan at all. It tastes exactly like the Mrs. Fields cookies. They're a little bit crispy on the outside, but they're really soft and chewy on the inside. And I've got a few secret tricks that I use to make sure these come out so delicious. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and keep watching for the recipe.
Over low heat, melt 112.5 grams of vegan butter. I know this sounds really exact, but usually I do 225 grams, but I just did a half serve this time because I just wanted to make one tray of cookies. And then pour the melted butter in a bowl. You want to make sure the butter is at least 60 grams of fat per 100 grams. I'm using the Nutrilux buttery vegan butter here. And make sure you melt the butter, that's really important. Then add 100 grams of brown sugar, 75 grams of caster sugar, and mix that together. Then add 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste. I really recommend paste rather than essence so that you have the real vanilla bean seeds. 3 tablespoons of milk. I'm using oat milk. And I really recommend mixing by hand instead of an electric mixer. I'll show you a side by side of 2 cookies I did. So same recipe, but this one on the left, I mixed by hand. It's actually this recipe that I filmed. And this one here on the right, I used an electric mixer to beat the butter and the sugar. And it's a lot more flat and cakey looking. It doesn't have those ripples around the edge, which give the cookie the texture and the chew. Okay, now for the dry ingredients, add 175 grams of plain all-purpose flour to a separate bowl, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. This is going to help make the cookies chewy. Half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. Then mix the dry ingredients together and then add them to the wet ingredients.
Okay, so I've just mixed everything together. You want to make sure you don't overmix the dough once you put the flour in, just because it can make the cookies a bit too tough. So once everything's roughly incorporated, just leave it, and we're going to chop up our dark chocolate and then add that into the mixture.
Next, chop up some dark chocolate into uneven chunks. I really recommend dark chocolate around 80 to 85% so that the bitterness contrasts with the buttery sweetness of the cookie. And when flavors contrast, it just makes them stand out even more, and it makes it taste so much better than just having a cookie that's just overly sweet.
So I have my dough here with the chocolate chips set in. I really recommend putting this in the fridge overnight. I have made these straight away, and I've also made these after refrigerating it for 30 minutes. And the cookies did come out flatter when I hadn't put it in the fridge overnight. If you don't have time, you can maybe put it in the freezer for half an hour and then bake them. But if you do have the time, at least several hours in the fridge, if not overnight, if you want the best cookies. Because what happens is the dough hardens up, and then when you bake it, it doesn't spread as much, so you get a thicker cookie. So it's the next day. The dough's been chilling for 24 hours, so we're going to take it out and bake some cookies. I did want to say also, I set all the ingredient measurements in grams, and I really recommend getting a baking scale, just because when you're baking, it is really important to get the exact measurement, because even just a slight difference in grams can make a really big difference.
Roll the balls into ice cream scoop sizes because you want them to be quite tall. And then I'm pressing in some dark chocolate chunks on top so that it looks more aesthetic when it spreads. And you can see I still have a bit of dough left, so this makes around 12 cookies. You can always double it if you want a bigger batch. And then just pop that into the oven. We're going to bake it at 160 degrees for 11 to 12 minutes. Another thing you can do is bang the pan a few times after they're done, and this just helps the cookies crinkle around the edge to get that texture and chew. Let the cookies cool down for around 15 to 20 minutes, and then afterwards get some flaky sea salt and sprinkle a small amount on top, And what this does is it gives more contrast to the flavors, because you have the sweet, soft, buttery cookie with the bitter dark chocolate and then the sea salt that cuts through. And because we only bake them for 12 minutes, you can see that the center is slightly translucent, and this is what gives them that soft, doughy texture in the middle. These cookies are slightly crispy around the edge, and then the inside is soft, doughy, chewy and buttery. And then the secret to this is just underbaking them, and this is why we've only baked them for 12 minutes. If you do prefer a more crunchy cookie, you can bake them for up to 16 minutes. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you liked it, and see you next time.